Hi, and welcome back to KXAN Plus. Thanks for joining me. And we have our space-based segment. Excuse me for laughing, but I have my
Sorry.
Eric Henrickson here. Eric, thanks for joining us. Thanks for bringing the giggles this morning. How are you
You had
doing?
so much energy in that high.
Because you make me so happy when we start these Tuesday
we
streams.
do have fun for sure. But you came in hot on that. That made me laugh. Sorry, everybody. But we start this on a fun note. But I
Yeah.
guess it's good we start on a fun note.
It's a fun note to start on because the topic of our stream is a little dark, right?
It is a little dark. It's nothing to be scared of. I had some fun with my headline this morning, for sure. But yeah, the Earth is getting dark. We're going to talk about the Earth getting dark today. Also, aliens. I wanted to talk about aliens.
My favorite topic.
I specifically chose it because I knew you would be interested. And then also about a space conference here in Austin this week that I just kind of want to highlight a little bit. We've talked about them in the past, and I want to make sure everyone's aware this is happening. So we have a fun show planned.
Yeah, so let's start with our topic on Earth getting darker.
Yes.
How do we even know that Earth is getting darker?
So, beginning in the 1950s, we started sending satellites up above the Earth and taking photos of it, right? And so we have like a kind of a data set of, what year is it, 2025? So about 70 years, 75 years of what the Earth has looked like over that time from outer space. And one thing we have noticed is the Earth from space is getting darker. And what's really weird is the northern hemisphere is darker than the southern hemisphere. It's going darker at a darker rate. This is called the albedo. And that's the brightness something emits. And our albedo has dropped over several decades.
Wow. And does that mean that the Earth is completely black, or is it still got some green and blue in it?
No, it's like when you go from like a white wall to like an eggshell white. It's just slightly darker. But there are some side effects of that slight darkening. I was trying to find ways to say this today, but it gets darker. It's just getting darker. As that albedo drops, there's some slight side effects that we're going to experience here on Earth, but I'll get to that in a little bit. First, let's talk about like how we know about this. So the Ceres mission, CERES, is a satellite that orbits the Earth and takes photographs. And this is how scientists, including some in NASA, some in Norway, put together this research paper they published in PNAS this month. And PNAS is it's a scientific journal, and it's kind of cool actually. Side note: if you ever sign up for PNAS, they send you like embargoed science reports early sometimes, and so sometimes I get a hold of those, and some of them are really interesting. Some of them are like they make my head hurt because they're like too sciencey. But the really fun ones, this one's a pretty fun one. So they looked at 20 years of satellite data using the Ceres mission, and they discovered that this darkening has occurred and where it's occurred, and they were trying to figure out why it's occurred. And so they noticed some very specific things. The first one I want to highlight is kind of a weird one. The causes behind this is actually we have cleaner air than we used to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we've reduced the amount of aerosols we put in the air. You may remember these were putting holes in our ozone layer.
Yeah.
And you were around then, right? Remember the hole in the ozone layer? So aerosols like hairspray and stuff, we were using this a lot, and it was creating holes in our ozone layer really bad, but they're actually causing some significant issues when it comes to the brightness of the Earth. So here, one of the scientists from the team, who is from Norway, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. I'm not going to do it.
It'll be on the screen.
It'll be on the screen. You'll see why I'm not going to try to pronounce it. He kind of explains why the aerosols are bad.
So the cause of, first of all, the increase in or the darkening, the global darkening of the Earth, that is to a large degree caused by changes in clouds. And there's, quite some debate, well, not debate, but papers going back and forth on what's causing that. It could be, there's especially two major things that could lead to these cloud changes. One is aerosol pollution, because until recently, or at least the last couple of decades, there has been a major cleanup of aerosol pollution. So aerosols are these tiny particles that often, many of them reflect sunlight, so they lead to a cooling. And when you remove these reflecting particles, that means that more of the sunlight is absorbed. But they do not only reflect sunlight, but they also affect the clouds. So when you have aerosol pollution, it makes the clouds brighter, which leads to a cooling. And again, when you clean up the aerosols, then the clouds also get darker, and that's a major effect.
So it's like a ripple effect. There's
Right.
a step one, and then it starts causing all these other things to happen.
Right. So you have the aerosols, which are damaging our atmosphere. We've pulled back on those. They're also making it harder for us to breathe. We've pulled back on those, but those aerosols were actually reflecting light off of the Earth, and they were also serving as seeds for clouds. So clouds formed by particles kind of colliding in the air, and they grow usually water particles, right?
Yeah.
But if you have like pieces of dust in the air, things kind of attach to them a little easier, and so they form. This is a very scientific way of handling this. They form. Let's go this way. They form into clouds that way. So without these particles in the air, I was actually reading interesting shipping lanes. Shipping lanes, used to have these trails of clouds behind them because the emissions from the tankers were releasing particles in the air, and then clouds would form along those particles. So you'd have these like cloud lines in the ocean. And the camera is not capturing the full width of my hand gestures.
Here, let's see if we can make
it as wide as
you
possible.
Oh, wrong person.
So they would form these like trails of clouds in the ocean, right? But now we've actually reduced the emissions of those ships, so those big clouds as they formed are not there because there's no particles. I'm very big.
Your arms are long.
I sometimes I realize, like, I had a conversation the other day. So I'm 6'6", so I'm like, usually your height from fingertip to fingertip is matched, right?
Wow.
So my wingspan should be about 6'6".
Wow.
So they don't fit in this tiny room. Anyway,
I don't know if you would fit in space.
I would definitely not. They don't even make spacesuits in my size. You know how disappointing that is?
Well,
for me on every conceivable level.
You have to fit into that tiny spaceship. I don't think you would be comfortable.
No. But I mean, like, gravity wouldn't be pushing on my bones. And anyway, we don't need to talk about how I would want to go to space and I don't fit in the suits. That's a totally different topic. But so the other thing is less clouds, less reflectivity. The other big one is, as you may know, the polar ice caps, they're melting. The Arctic sea ice has dropped significantly due to global warming.
And that's something we've been monitoring for quite a while.
For decades and decades. But the ice reflects sunlight, so without that to reflect, the whole planet is just getting darker. It has less stuff for the sun to reflect off of. I sometimes wonder, would it be better if like roads were a lighter color because they would reflect more light, they would absorb less heat?
But
then the sun,
how would they stay that light color?
I don't know. I'm not a chemist.
Unless you wash them every single day.
I think you'd do something in the chemistry. It could be like sand or something.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know, sand.
Sand?
I'm just thinking sand. I don't know. I have no idea.
Turn the whole world into a beach.
Lighter surfaces reflect light. They don't absorb heat, but then the air above them can be hot. I don't know. I never understand this fully, but if you wear a black T-shirt and it's hot. And actually, that's exactly what our friend from Norway said to the Associated Press. Here, take a look at his explanation of why it's better to reflect the light than absorb the light.
So the more sunlight we absorb, the darker it gets, sort of. So it's a bit like having a black T-shirt on a summer day. You get warmer because you absorb more sunlight because it's a dark T-shirt. If you have a white T-shirt, more of the sunlight is reflected away. So then it's lighter. It's less dark. So it's a bit the same. So what we see now is that, I don't know, the T-shirt of the Earth is getting a bit darker, so it means that we absorb more of this sunlight, and that means that the climate system is heating up.
So our Earth is getting hotter because
our
we're wearing
Earth's
a dark
T-shirt is getting hotter.
So it's kind of a weird thing to discover. Is that basically the thing that's causing our Earth to get hotter is caused by the Earth getting hotter. It's like a chain reaction kind of thing.
Oops, sorry.
Bless you. This show's chaos today. You're welcome, everybody. We're got sneezing. I'm chuckling a lot. So but basically, dark T-shirt on Earth is now caused by the Earth getting hotter, is making the Earth even hotter, and making the Earth darker. Now, it was interesting. I also read this, and I couldn't quite confirm this, so take this all with a grain of salt. I saw this in a couple articles, but I couldn't find the research to back it up. One of the ideas is the reason the southern hemisphere might be brighter still is Antarctica, while it has lost a lot of ice,
Yeah.
hasn't lost as much as the northern hemisphere. Also, the amount of aerosols in the atmosphere as a result of wildfires. Think about the Australia brush fire a few years ago.
Yeah.
Wildfires in South America have meant more aerosols in the air in the southern hemisphere, more cloud cover. So that was one theory why the southern hemisphere is brighter than the northern hemisphere. I think that dividing line is kind of interesting.
That is interesting. And we don't really think about what's happening out where all those big chunks of ice are because we're not there.
Right.
So we don't know what happens when we lose all of that ice. Can you give us like an idea of what we could see in the future if all that ice is gone?
So when the ice melts, okay, we got time. When the ice melts, we lose chunks of ice. It falls in the ocean. So one thing obviously it does is there's more water in the ocean, so the ocean rises. Now, it's not rising like tidal waves. It's rising a couple inches. But that inches, when you push that onto land, encroaches into communities. That's one thing. Another thing is you're mixing fresh water with salt water, which is changing the chemistry and changing the temperature of the ocean. One of the things that can happen is off the coast of Greenland. I don't remember the name of the current right now. Someone in the comments might be able to tell us. But there's a current that moves, an ocean current that moves beneath Greenland. And the mixture of the chemistry and the changing of the temperature, it's colder water mixed with warmer water most of the time. When the ice melts, ice is cold. It changes the chemistry, can change that current, and actually can cause that current to stop.
Wow.
And if that stops, the temperature in the above the equator, will plummet because that current brings warm water from the Gulf up past the East Coast and then around to Greenland and then over to Europe. Well, if that stops working because the chemistry changes, because the temperature changes, it will cause that chunk of the Earth to rapidly drop in temperature. Several degrees Celsius, dozens of degrees Fahrenheit. And that means like a New York winter will go from being a 20 degree, 30 degree to like -10, -20. That's what we're talking about. So that's one possible result of what happens when we lose our ice. Oceans rise. I've seen charts that show like Houston underwater.
What?
The coast, Corpus,
Galveston.
underwater.
Yeah.
Galveston, underwater. If you look at Florida, they have maps that have shown that if the ocean rises to a certain degree, everything up to basically Orlando, underwater. Miami, gone. In fact, Miami's already dealing with ocean, sea levels rising, and has had to build a giant wall to protect itself.
Yeah.
We've looked at building. There's a wall. They built or trying to build. I can't remember if they've succeeded or not off the Texas coast to help with water.
I think there's one in Galveston.
There is.
It's pretty
that
old.
One's a famous one because of the hurricane. That's unrelated to climate change, but it's a hurricane that hit Galveston in 1902, something like that. Wiped out Galveston, killed everybody there. Sorry, dark topic. It's been 100 years. But wiped everything out. And so when they rebuilt the town, in fact, Galveston was actually more of it was going to be the bigger port city than Houston. But because it was wiped out, Houston had a chance to build itself up and become what it is today. Well, Galveston then had to rebuild completely. And during that rebuilding, they built a seawall to help protect it from the ocean.
From future hurricanes. Yeah.
The problem is if the sea level rises, if the water is that much higher,
that wall
won't matter.
Completely gone, yeah.
So they've looked at bigger solutions, bigger seawalls to help with the combating climate change. There's one idea is to build a physical wall through Miami to protect it from sea level rise. And if you look at the maps where it's been a while since I looked at the maps, but it cuts through like neighborhoods because it has to be on the ground because that's where the sea level is expected to hit.
That's wild.
New York, I think they're actually building a seawall to protect it from sea level rise.
So if the wall is going straight across some neighborhoods, does that mean the neighborhoods on the other side of the wall are just underwater?
They're just underwater.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is sad. So is there anything that we are doing or that we know of that is being studied to reverse the darkness of our Earth?
No.
Great.
There's been efforts to reduce climate change, which could restore some of the darkness of our Earth. And so you can always study more about how to help fight climate change and global warming and global cooling. These are two elements that both occur as a result of climate change. Remember, climate change isn't just the world getting hotter. It's extreme weather, extreme temperatures, more wildfires, more droughts. You notice our drought has become longer and longer here in Texas.
Yep.
So keep that in mind whenever you think about climate change. Is a ripple effect. Not only does it, make the storms bigger, but also makes our planet a little dimmer.
And hotter.
And hotter, dimmer and hotter. And I don't know about you, but I don't like either of those things.
I hate both of those things.
There are a lot of things you can do at home. You can recycle. You can drive less. You can do an electric car. I know some people don't
plant
like
your own
that.
garden.
Plant your own garden. But keep in mind that if you want to make change in the climate change space, you need to be pushing the groups that are really producing a lot of stuff, really doing the most damage, which is, it's not you or me, it's big corporations.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where you need to put your focus on. And, it's an ongoing fight that's probably going to take the rest of our lives, if not the lives of our children, the children after that. Unintended consequences of growing as a species that we now have to correct.
Wow.
So let's talk about something happy.
That is so exciting.
I pivoted hard there. Sorry, guys. Guess what my feelings on climate change are? New Worlds. The New Worlds Conference is this week. It's running 23rd through 25th. This is some photos from their website. Also, I did a story on them 2 years ago. So I have a couple videos and photos from that story 2 years ago. But it's this week. The idea is it's more of an industry kind of space conference.
It looks so fun.
They have a space cowboy ball, every year, and they all get to dress up and wear cool things. But it's an industry focused event where they bring in people like Jeff Bezos for Blue Origin.
And it's starting in just a few days, right?
Yes, it is the 23rd. Today's the 21st, so Thursday. Thursday's kind of a pre-registration day with like some early events. And they've been doing this for several years now. Rick Tomlinson is the founder of the Earthlight Foundation and one of the starters of this. I interviewed him a couple years ago about why they do this. But it's a really cool event. If you're interested, it is limited seating. You do have to register. They have 300 plus people already set to attend, and I think they're maxed out at 400. It's at the AT&T Conference Center here in town.
What are they focusing on this year?
Humanity into space. How do we get there? Technology, policy, culture, investment. They'll have a lot of different speakers. Dr. Phil Metzger, Dr. Joel Moser, Brian Talibi, Major General John Olson from the U.S. Space Force, David Brody. A couple of interesting topics. The other ones they're talking about is AI and space exploration, lunar development, and we'll check the moon is one of the topics.
Oh.
Raising children and building societies in space. You can't get pregnant in space without risk. So how do we do that?
What is the risk?
Well, no gravity. Free floats? This is an interesting topic.
What?
How can I talk about this in a sanitary way? The baby free floats as it grows, and so there's risk of sometimes you get an umbilical cord wrapped around a baby's neck.
Oh yeah.
That risk increases. We don't really know how the radiation, because there is radiation in space. Mm-hmm. Even when we put a lot of protection, you're still exposed. How that will contribute to a child's growth. There's a lot of concerns about that. So how do we have babies in space, which we will have to do as we expand further beyond the stars? Deep space, it's going to be kind of hard. I think we'll have ways to do it.
I'm sure they'll build some type of pregnancy suit or something.
Yeah, how do you, they have to find a way to make gravity work in space. And the one idea we have right now is to spin a big space station really fast.
Yeah, maybe they put the pregnant women in capsules and they can't get out.
I don't know. Whoa. Jeez. Don't get this girl, man. Let me tell you. She'll put you in a capsule. Oh no, because it's gravity issue is always the problem. The thing about the human body is we're designed for gravity, and so if you remove gravity, it's kind of like a challenge, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what to do.
Survivor.
It's rough, and so how do you have a baby? That's one of the things that we talk about a lot. Another one they're talking about is orbital debris and regulation gaps.
Ooh, we have a lot of that.
There's a lot of just junk we've launched up there over this.
And you just forget about.
Yeah, and a lot of it burns up, and a lot of it's just floating up there. And the problem is a single screw floating around in space may not seem like a big issue, but if that hits a spacesuit and pierces a spacesuit,
rips, yeah,
right. And those things are traveling very fast. There's nothing slowing them down. It's there's no friction, so they're just going and going and going, and that can be very dangerous. So any piece of debris is dangerous. You don't want to launch a rocket and hit a bunch of debris. So we want to find ways to clean that up as best we possibly can. Special events, Space Tank is a student startup pitch competition. The Mastermind workshops on investing and policy. We can totally talk about investing all day long. I'm trying to learn more about investing, honestly. And of course, I mentioned the Space Cowboy Ball. It's a themed gala and network event. About 400 attendees are allowed, 50 speakers. It's an intimate, high-impact conference. I think if you're interested in attending a space conference this week, there are tickets still available. when I looked this morning.
So. And it's the 23rd through the 25th.
Yes, they had some pre-events on the 23rd. The main stuff's on the 24th and 25th.
Interesting.
I had a full schedule earlier, but I have my notes, and it was like 3 pages. So I was like, I want to keep on one page.
Yeah.
So I had to cut some stuff, including the full list of events.
Well,
quite a bit of cool speeches talking about there. So if you're really interested,
head on out there.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll see Eric out there.
I can't this weekend.
Wow.
I have some stuff. Yeah, I got things planned. I'm married, and people tell me what I'm doing now. So
you got a schedule to follow.
I'm scheduled. Like I was told, oh, this is what we're doing Saturday night, and I'm also very much like sounds good kind of person.
Okay.
So just roll with it. If I don't have someone telling me where to go and what to do, I will just sit around and play video games and watch TV.
Interesting. Well, that sounds fun.
And that's my idea of fun. I enjoy other stuff too, but I just also have like no control, and I accept that. It's okay. That's why I married the person I married.
Oh.
To help me figure out life. Finally, you want to talk about aliens?
My favorite topic.
I know it is. So AP did an interview with Jason Wright from Penn State University.
Mm-hmm.
He's with the ETI Center, which is their group exploring extraterrestrial intelligence, trying to learn more about it. So they did a cool interview with him, talking about the risk of finding them, what we could actually find, what's out there. It's really short.
How big?
How big are they? I was gonna just include a little part of it, but the interview's short. I thought that it was interesting, and so I kind of cut it together a little bit to make it more of a thought. And I think it's entertaining. So here, you want to take a look? Let's look at that.
Let's listen to that.
We've had over 100 years of science fiction convincing us that we need to be scared of the aliens out there who might come and get us. I'm Jason Wright. I'm a professor of astronomy and astrophysics at Penn State and director of the Penn State Extraterrestrial Intelligence Center. Here at Penn State, the Extraterrestrial Intelligence Center is focused on all aspects of the search for technological life elsewhere in the universe. So we focus on curriculum and teaching how we might find extraterrestrial life. We focus on searching novel ways that we might be able to tell that there's a species like us elsewhere in the universe. We are fascinated by the idea that there might be other species like us out there in the universe. And NASA has big programs to try and see if maybe there's microbes on Mars, or maybe there's, something living under the ice of Enceladus. But I think what a lot of people want to know, and science fiction primes us for this, is whether there might be a species we could communicate with that builds rocket ships, that builds radio telescopes, that might be able to answer some of our questions about what the universe is like. Plus, it'll just let us know we're not alone in the universe. For a long time, people weren't really afraid of aliens. I mean, a long time ago, it was just distant lands with strange creatures. And then once we explored the Earth, that kind of moved to space. Maybe there's creatures on Mars, or creatures on the Moon, or creatures on Venus. And it was kind of exciting and interesting and a curiosity. And then there's this book, The War of the Worlds. And it makes for great science fiction. It makes for really fun movies and stories and stuff. But we need to remember they're just movies. There's no reason to think that would actually happen. I would love to find something out there. And so, yeah, we all remain very hopeful that we can find out, what is out there. When we do find something, though, it's almost certainly going to be very, very far away. And we don't have any reason to think that things like warp drives are physically possible. And so if we do find something, it's going to be over there. We're going to have a very hard time studying it. But at least we will know we're not alone. At least we'll know there's at least one other planet out there with beings like us. There's nothing to be scared of when it comes to passively just out there looking to see what's around. We're listening with our radio telescopes, trying to see if there might be radio transmissions. We're looking for other technosignatures, signs of life. Maybe we'll see, an atmosphere that has, pollutants like ours does, here on Earth. And that's exciting. But whatever we find, it's going to be very far away. There's no reason to think they'll be dangerous. There's no reason to think they can come here. It's just pure, wonderful human exploration of the universe.
I want to meet this guy.
I know you do. I know. I know. I found that interview. I was like, he's gonna like this.
Yeah, he sounds. He's making it sound less scary, but I know it's scary.
The unknown's always scary, right? I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson this week. He's like a famous astronomer. I think a lot of people know him, and I would assume a lot of people know him. And he was talking about someone asked him, "Are there aliens out there?" And he said, "Yes, 100% there's aliens out there. the universe is too vast, the possibilities are too great.
But we haven't found them.
We haven't found them because the universe is too vast and the possibilities are too great.
I like how this guy said that there might be people out there that look just like us.
Oh yeah, there's a possibility. Gorillas have similar body shapes, and although we are a common ancestor, it is kind of interesting that they're, even now, millions of years after the evolutions have occurred,
They're still the same.
still rough. We have a lot of similarities.
Mhm.
So it's mammals in general. So I mean, this is this Earth, these circumstances, but the possibilities are out there. So I'm a firm believer that there is alien life. I was actually, this is weird. He mentioned like warp drive and stuff. I was literally like laying in bed 2 nights ago going, so maybe we could like peel like wormholes out and like go down like a layer and travel across the universe that way. Maybe it's all a big sphere and we could like go deeper and that's how we get
Or
this,
maybe
or
it's
go higher.
flat.
Or maybe the universe is flat. I don't know. But I was just like, I do think about these things. How do we get places?
Those are some crazy things to think about while you're in bed, about
you
to
have
go to
no
sleep.
idea how weird these thoughts get. I'm thinking about the abyss that surrounds our planet and what all the possibilities are that are out there. And I like the idea of endless possibilities. It means everything on Earth is possible.
I mean, my dream is to go on vacation to a planet that's just a beach full of little green aliens.
That'd be fun. What if they're like the little green aliens? Like, you ever seen Lost World, Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Like the family arrives on the beach and the compies attack them. What if it's like that sort of scenario? You ever see?
That's scary.
We talk about movies all day. Have you ever seen Galaxy Quest, where they show up and like the miners are like they like eat people?
What?
I'm just saying, there's always the risk.
Okay,
So
I don't
you
wanna
never
see
know what
those
you're going to find
aliens.
with space. That's the great thing about space. It's infinite possibilities, infinite worlds. It's hard to understand how big like our Earth is compared to us, and how big the universe is compared to that. And so I don't know, like when you go to some place you've never been before on Earth, and just think, like, I've never seen this before. Well, imagine that there's a million, billion, trillion things out there you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And anything's possible, including alien life that could be looking right back at us, wondering if we exist here.
Yeah, I'm sure they are looking at us, or they're looking at us from like a clear circular. They're like looking at Earth, but they could see straight down at
They're like
all of
looking
us.
through this room using like
Yeah.
X-rays and gamma rays and
Oh,
stuff.
that's scary.
Maybe our whole perception of physics is wrong, and we don't know anything, and who knows?
Who knows? Maybe they're laughing at us.
We're just cavemen stumbling in the dark, hoping
Yeah.
to find a fire.
Well, this has been a fun talk,
It's
Eric.
been a fun talk. I found some fun things this morning. I was like, oh, I wanted to talk about. I saw the dimming. I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's. I'm really interested in that. And then I want to talk about New Worlds because it's here and locally.
Yeah.
And then when I saw that alien interview, I was like, well,
Perfect.
I'm bringing that in the show. I have no reason. There's no science like discovery there, but it's just fun to talk about aliens for a couple
Yeah.
minutes.
Well, we have that article that you wrote about the Earth getting darker on our website, and it is on the homepage. So if anyone
Yes.
wants to read about this, you can find it easily on the homepage. What can they find in here that we didn't get to
I
touch
put a
on?
little bit more research into space and into the cloud seeding information. So there's a little bit more in that. I've included a couple more research papers in there if you're interested in diving into those, and a couple articles related to that. I threw in a couple photos too. But,
Photos of the ice.
yeah, and just to give you some perspective. And we have links to some past stories in there too I thought were interesting. So,
Fun.
and Noah did some research, really interesting research on cloud seeding last year.
That's a really hot topic.
Yeah, so I thought that's worth taking a look at, and not the intentional cloud seeding, but like natural cloud seeding and like an accidental cloud seeding. And it's an interesting research paper and worth a glance if you have 10 minutes or so to kind of dig through their study.
And that is on our website, KXAN.com.
KXAN.com.
Well, thank you so much for this fun talk, Eric. We'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.